Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who is so excited to review the new album by Phoenix, Alpha Zulu. They are what I call a Tuesday morning band. What I mean by that is it used to be that new music was released on Tuesday. So midnight releases on Monday night, or get there early in the morning the second they open up to get the album. Like the kind of music, the kind of artists where I just immediately go and buy everything that they make. Now, some artists have gone in and out of that. I used to be that way with Morrissey, for example. I haven't been that way for about a decade. But certain artists, like I think very specifically of when OK Computer came out by Radiohead. My friends and I went to Tower Records on Newbury Street and bought that at midnight on Monday. Very few people were doing that. Or maybe more memorably, driving back home on a strange Tuesday in 2001 and stopping off at the Arsenal Mall to pick up the new Jay-Z album Blueprint, which released I think it was maybe on the 11th of September, 2001. Very weird association I have between those two items. Now, of course, now we're Friday. Everything releases on Friday, which I don't like. I loved the Tuesday releases because if you paid a lot of attention to music and movies, you had all the excitement of Tuesday and Friday. But whatever, corporate interests. So that's what I call a Tuesday morning band. So the second that Phoenix releases something, I get really excited. And it's funny because I haven't always been down. If you watch this channel, you know that in between the years of 2002 and 2018, when I started this channel, I wasn't paying attention to music. So how did I even hear about Phoenix? They're French. That's how. I'm a French professor. People told me you should listen to them because they're French, and so I did. I knew they were associated with Daft Punk, who I already liked, so that's how I ended up listening to them. And I want to particularly emphasize this album, Bankrupt, from 2013. I refer to 2013 as the greatest year in music. I wasn't paying that much attention to other years, so maybe my bias is sampled. My sample is biased. Okay. I don't edit my videos. I'm just going to keep that in. But it had Random Access Memories, Yeezus, and Bankrupt, which I think are all three perfectly produced albums, which all center around France and French production to some extent. And I think this is the closest thing to, I think this and Random Access Memories are the closest thing my generation, or the generation that followed me, has ever had to Pet Sounds by Beach Boys. That's how good I think these albums are. But this is the thing. That's a complete masterpiece, and their follow-up album, I got it backwards, Ti Amo, is also a masterpiece. I'm just going to fix this here. This album that came out, 5 years ago? But the thing about all their masterpieces, we can even throw on Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart on there, all of their masterpieces, I didn't think were that good when I first heard them. When I first heard Bankrupt, I was like, that's all right. I can't really get attached because his lyric style is so weird and he's very clearly not that comfortable. Or he is comfortable with English, but he chooses to write English as opposed to about how he's feeling in these sort of bizarre, elliptical, poetic sentences. The production is good, but, it's fine. That's how I thought the first time I listened to Bankrupt. It's fine. I bought that with my brother at the mall on Route 1 somewhere in Massachusetts. I was at Newbury Comics. I remember I bought it. I bought the deluxe edition, even though I wasn't that into them at the point. But the more that I listened to it, the more I realized. Ti Amo, same thing. I bought it. I'm like, well, that was a step down. Too bad. Then by the time that summer rolled around, I could sing every single song. You see, they are an infectious pop rock group, but they are not Salmonella. Okay? Salmonella gets you infected within hours. Phoenix's music is chickenpox. It can take up to 3 weeks to know you have chickenpox. But when you have it and you're scratching. So it's very tricky for reviewers to really think about what Phoenix can do when their music gets so deep under your skin without you really noticing it. That is their genius is in writing these pop songs, even their biggest hits, like Listomania. It's not really based on hooks. It's based on just getting so into the way it's produced and the strange sounds and the voices and the way it all goes together. They're not even particularly anthemic, right? Like if someone tells you, sing an anthemic Phoenix song, you'll be like, Dabba 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 1901. Right? I mean, like that's not really how they work. And so what made this interesting was I was there. I stayed up till midnight Thursday night to listen to the new Phoenix album. And when I listened to it the first way through, also I have a newborn. She's almost 3 months old, so my sleeping schedule is funky anyway. More about her later. I was like, it's okay. It seems like maybe they finally took a step back. I don't know. It's okay. It's not great. But I noticed something about this album. The songs that I liked the most were the songs that I already knew. So I've already done a video review of the song Identical, which was a soundtrack to a movie by the lead singer's wife, Sofia Coppola. More about her as well. And so that was my favorite song. And I was so happy that it was on the album. And then my second favorite song was Tonight, because that was the first single that they released a couple weeks ago, and I listened to that a couple times. And then my third favorite song was Winter Solstice, which is another single that they released. Finally, on my second listen, I determined that Alpha Zulu, the first track on the album, was one of these good tracks. Essentially, every time I listened to the songs more, it joined into the category of one of the good songs, until I had an entire album of bangers, which is exactly what happened with this album, where it's like I kind of like J-Boy, and then sort of okay Tutti Frutti, and then eventually to the point where every single track on that album, when it comes on, I go, oh, this song is on this album. It's that Chickenpox style. You don't know you have it until you're sitting there and you're trying to go to sleep and you have these songs rolling around in your head. So, that's my question. I'm trying to come up with a framing device for this album, beyond the fact that it's hard to determine how good a Phoenix album is until you've listened to it for months. It could be, I read an interesting article, I think it was in GQ, about how they're all high school friends. That's a pretty good angle. It's very important, when we talk about music, especially rock and roll music, as opposed to individual music, group dynamics. It's very overlooked, but why is Radiohead so good? Because they're a bunch of nerds who met in high school and liked music and played nerdy music together, and now they're adult nerds who managed to stay friends despite fame. I really think there is something to bands that start in high school. I'm not just saying that because I had a high school band and I thought we were going to make it. We didn't. But there is something about that closeness which cannot be fabricated. You cannot just get a studio musician to come in and play the same style thing. You cannot recreate that. I was thinking about maybe framing it around this question of privilege, which I always think pops up with a lot of French acts, because I study French hip-hop so much, which is always about the outskirts of society, the outskirts of cities, the disadvantaged, the members of society who face racism and all that. Phoenix and Air and Daft Punk, these very popular rock, techno, whatever EDM bands, are the opposite. Like, they come from the very center of society. They are the most privileged members of French society. And I'd like to sort of talk about how wonderful it is when people use their privilege to become great artists. Because people can use privilege to become piece of garbage bankers, okay? That's what they can do. They can just figure out how to just make more money and just be the richest as opposed to rich, to be the most privileged as opposed to just privileged. And so I really like it when we can just take a second and say, suffering does not make art. One can use suffering to make art, but that isn't what makes art. What makes art is artists. And I think you can hear that in this music. I almost thought about talking about how much the singer reminds me of John Lennon in the sort of thin nature of his endearing voice, but I dropped that idea. I was going to talk about how there's a lack of a drummer, which is one of the most, probably the reason why I didn't really latch on to this band initially, because, I'm a drummer, and it's weird to have a high school band with no drummer. But I think that's actually part of the strength of their music. That's part of how they can sort of be a rock band, but also sort of electro, like sort of in that area, because they always have to figure out what to do to make a drum beat. Of course, I could easily go on and on and on about the relationship between this band and French civilization. I've already talked about how they're at the center of French society and have benefited from all of France's supporting of the arts and supporting of some of its people. But they recorded the damn album in the Louvre. okay? I mean, not in the middle of it, not in front of the Nike Assemblatrici, just in the Museum of Decorative Arts, but still, it's part of the Louvre. It's very cool, very neat idea. The Louvre is an amazing museum filled with so many paintings that they can't show them all. Talk to someone from outside of Paris how they feel about how many paintings the Louvre has. They're like, the Louvre has more stuff in its basement that it's not showing than most of the rest of the museums of France have at all. It's a weird thing there. But like already we have a band from Versailles playing in the Louvre. I mean, really just sort of like a greatest hits of French civilization. I was going to comment on the multiple references of the word woo-ha and maybe make some kind of declaration that this is all in conversation with Busta Rhymes, his song Woo-Ha from '96. But I could have also talked about whether or not it's a party album, which it is. But it's also sort of a COVID album, sort of a down COVID album about alienation. But it's also sort of a positive album about all being together and about the need to live life. That's all quite nice. All of these questions are me sort of trying to figure out how to frame this album. I mean, I know what my thumbnail is going to be. I'm going to call it the Maybe Masterpiece because we don't know if Phoenix's albums are masterpieces before they're done, before we're done listening to them, before we can sit with them for enough time to allow their ineffable mastery of production and songwriting to enter into our brain and get stuck. We don't know we have chickenpox until we start scratching our face. But, come on, you know me. You know I studied art history. That was my second major. I majored in French and art history. My grandmother was an art historian. My grandfather saved the paintings from Nazis, okay? He was there when the Ghent altarpiece was taken out of Germany, okay? I love art history. I called them Daft Punk. Phoenix tells us precisely how to interpret this album and how to frame it with the cover. So, if you don't know, the cover comes from this painting. Now, frustratingly, this painting is not found in the Louvre. It's found in Berlin, okay? But there's other Botticelli in the Louvre. Botticelli, famous Italian artist, maybe continuing a little bit with the Ti Amo theme of Italy. And also a couple of the members very clearly have Italian heritage. You probably know Botticelli from The Birth of Venus. The naked lady walking in with her hair. You see a very similar kind of female figure, that sort of amazing grace and beauty on her face. One second, let me... You really see that on her face. You see the beauty of 1477, when this painting was done, the beautiful human touch on here of the way the baby is holding on to the veil. I mean, my baby is literally eating right now, like upstairs. Like that's actually happening as we speak. And this hand with the roll of fat on, and like grabbing onto the breast, like that's precisely how an actual human baby actually acts and actually looks. Okay, when we talk about the Renaissance and why it's so great, people get so wrapped up in weird ideas that they don't just focus on the human. That's what matters. It was the humanism of the whole damn thing that mattered. This right here is a human baby. Okay, it's Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, who turns bread into wine, whatever. But what it really is a depiction of the beauty between a mother and a child. Okay? So, youth, beauty, enthusiasm. And then we have, on the side, these singing angels, which form the cover of the album. What a fun and cute idea. They are sitting and they are singing, and they are making the music for this gorgeous human drama. Okay? Do you understand? Do you understand the meaning here? They are singing and accompanying the beautiful human drama. This album does appear to be partly about family and about raising families. These are older men now who have families and are married. So, like, they're sitting there and they're singing, they're youthful, and even just their expressions are a little bit goofy, a little bit even mischievous maybe, But they're having fun and they are singing. This gentle, beautiful details. All right, I'm just going to leave this in the back a little bit because, seriously, Botticelli, how do you fight with these expressions? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, really, I talk about how important is art history. For the same reason it's important for music. Just how much joy can you get going face to face to face to look at these people and the way that they're interacting with us, the way they're interacting with each other. But of course, the cover does not have this old crusty musty book. The cover of Alpha Zulu has a weird sort of neon rainbow book. And this is it. This is the key, I believe, to understanding the album. It has the grace of a Renaissance painting by Botticelli. It has the humanism and the warmth of a Botticelli painting. And that's a very high compliment coming from somebody who esteems Botticelli as much as I do. But the paintbrushes are modern. The paintbrushes are technological with that crazy rainbow book. It's not an old crusty fuddy-duddy book. It is a book of light and technology that radiates out from their hands. That's the songbook that they're reading from. That's the album, the combination between Renaissance grace with modern technological paintbrushes. I'm guessing it's probably going to end up on that masterpiece side based on what I'm saying. It's hard because, on this album you have a song like Bourgeois, which like I could just sing for you right now and it's just always in my head, or Fior de Latte off of this album. And I don't know if this album has one of those songs. I can't tell if there's going to be one of those songs that I just hear it and I'm just like, But I think it probably does. And certainly one of the more interesting things about this album is how most of the songs are actually connected song to song to song to song, thematically or musically, which gives it a much more cohesive sense. So, smash the like bucket. There's more coffee in there than I thought. Smash the like bucket. Subscribe. Share this video with your friends who like Phoenix. Watch my older videos. Seriously, I think I have 1,000 videos now. I got a lot of videos. And they're all like this, if you like this style. I don't edit. I don't read from a script. I just kind of talk with you, share my thoughts. No grades, by the way. There's not going to be any rating on this. I'm just going to talk. For every album that I review, I have what's called a stamp, which is an example song for you to listen to. And when I'm lucky, that stamp is the first song, because I can just sort of start from the beginning. And when I'm lucky, or it's when the title track is the example song, because that's pretty useful to show that they're centering that. Imagine my luck when the first track is the title track and it is the exemplary song. What can you even say about Alpha Zulu? I can tell you on Sunday I was listening to this very loud on my portable speaker. My baby was in a little baby seat and I was dancing like a fool. I was just dancing and dancing and dancing while making pancakes. And that is the kind of music that this is. A ridiculously hard opening with this vocal and synthesizer. Gop, 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 like this. The synthesizer is making these vocal noises with a guitar. And then these great drum machine comes in. It's just so well layered. Again, these are master producers. They are master producers with synthesizers and drum machines and guitars and voices. Those elements, and bass. God, the bass on this album. All those things mixed together is what they're able to do so well. But you really have to keep listening, because you'll hear things differently each time. For instance, like during the verse, there's this incredible syncopation with the hi-hat on the drum machine, where it's like on the off. It's just so good. And then we get to this insanely catchy chorus. Woo-ha, got you all in check. Woo-ha, hallelujah. So I read somewhere that the song is about Thomas Croquet. First of all, why did he change his name from Croquet to Mars? Croquet is way cooler than Mars. I really enjoy the game Croquet. True story. My friend Francis, another French guy, he created Extreme Croquet, where you just play in a really nasty backyard with all sorts of obstacles. It makes the game a lot more fun. So anyways, just back to Thomas Croquet and his writing. Apparently, he was in a small plane and there was a lot of turbulence, and he heard the pilot screaming Alpha Zulu for some reason. Now, Alpha and Zulu are both letters of the aeronautical alphabet. I don't know what it is, but there's like Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco is the same thing. Each letter has a whole name, right? So H is hotel, as an example. My brother used to be a helicopter pilot. He taught me the thing once, but Alpha and Zulu are the end. So when we're talking about what this song means, I think this song is an ode to life and an ode to living and to the feeling of almost dying, which I think is tied in to the overall secondary theme of this album, which is getting out of COVID and getting back together. They recorded some of this album away, some of the album together, some of it in isolation, some of it together. And I think we are, as a society, hey, if you're not one of the millions of people who've died from this horrible disease, and millions who needlessly died from this horrible disease due to multiple governments failing on multiple levels, multiple times, we should be happy. The same way that Thomas Croquet was happy when he landed and he was able to because everyone who's ever been in a plane crash heard things and there were things that stuck in their mind right before they crashed and died. I remember our plane almost crashed landing in JFK once. And I just remember this woman screaming, "We're all going to die." Now, that wasn't as poetic as Alpha Zulu. I wish she could have said something a little bit more profound. But I certainly can't get that out of my head. So when he's saying Alpha Zulu, like these are terms that were said to him, presumably at the moment where he thought his life was most in danger, which helps to put the rest of the song in context. It even helps to put woo-ha into context. Even puts in this dance into context. This is a song of joy, an ode to joy. Okay? That's what these guys are singing. Woo-ha, singing hallelujah. Pray to your God, cover your lies, God or Guru. Hey, hey, hey. Almost like a Rihanna. Hey, hey, hey. Run for your life, cover your eyes, Alpha Zulu, hey, hey, hey. So it's simultaneously a sort of threatening song about like the planes going down, but then also a song of praise to God. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's, I'm going to take a guess, just so you know. I'm going to guess that he's lying. I'm going to guess that he didn't hear Alpha Zulu. Maybe he heard like, I don't know, Alpha Tango or Alpha Foxtrot or Alpha Bravo, Alpha Charlie. I don't know what. But Alpha Delta. Wait, can I do the whole thing? Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Exeter. Nope, I can't do the rest. Foxtrot. Golf. Hotel. Indigo. Okay, I'm done. But I think he chose Alpha Zulu because that's the beginning and the end of the alphabet. So I think we're trying to think, because in general, when you hear alpha, you think of omega, the end of the Greek alphabet, right? That's what God is. God is the alpha and the omega. But this is not the Greek alphabet. This is the much better, longer alphabet that we use now, right? Is it the Arabic alphabet? What do we even call our alphabet? Tell me in the comments. So it's when he's saying Alpha Zulu, he's also saying Alpha Omega. He's also talking about God being the beginning and the ending, and the beginning and the ending of your life. It's a very large existential song about the nature of existence that also, as the kids today would say, totally slaps. Perfect Phoenix lyrics. There's a purple cloud in the consommé away. I love the little French touches that they have in here. And then we get this chorus. Why choose your body over time? Why choose your body over time with me? My wife recorded me dancing with my baby this morning. I had her in my arm and I was dancing. I don't think I'll ever release it, but maybe if you're lucky, maybe I'll put it on my Patreon. I don't know. Maybe I'll become a TikTok star by exploiting my baby. It's a very catchy song. And I find this interesting because why choose your body over time with me? I think this is a song to his wife who's going to the gym. I might be projecting. You see, I always have trouble making it to the gym. I try to go to the gym 3 times a week. Do you know how hard that is with a full-time job, a very interesting and time intensive hobby like this channel, two high school kids and a newborn baby, and my father down the street who I have to take care of. I don't always get to the gym, and when I do, I always feel like I'm tearing myself away from people who love me and need me. And so when I hear this song, I was dancing with my baby, and I was imagining her saying it. Go, go, gaga, why do you choose your body over time with me? Which is an interesting question, right? Like why are we choosing our bodies over the time with the people that we could be with? I don't know. In general, and maybe I'm misreading this, that's the great thing about Phoenix's lyrics. You can always misread them and you can never read them properly because they're written in this way. It is sort of, I believe, a fully Carpe Diem song. Seize the day, be happy that you're alive, Alpha Zulu, hey, hey, hey. Post bridge is great. It has just the guitar and the vocal sounds together. Their third verse game is so strong. They almost always do something to the third verse that makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more involved. Like this one, it modulates up a little bit. I think here's a reference to Sofia Coppola, his wife, Thomas Croquet's wife. I get you close up to sublime the alibi. Your Mona Lisa immortalized, décapité. So obviously Mona Lisa is in the Louvre. I don't think they showed the real one, but it doesn't matter because you can't see it because there's people taking flash photographs of something that is covered in glass. So when you go to see the Mona Lisa, all you see is 5,000 tourists and a flash bulb. You're welcome. Again, St. John on the Rocks is in the next room to the Mona Lisa. It's a much more interesting Leonardo painting. If you want to check it out, that's my suggestion. I say that way too often on this channel. But I think this is a reference to her movie, to what I think is the best Sofia Coppola movie. It's her autobiography. It's called Marie Antoinette. On my secondary channel, I will someday talk about the beauty of that movie in relationship to the director and to the film commentary to the movie Godfather Part 3. If you listen to Godfather Part 3 commentary with Sofia Coppola, and then you watch Marie Antoinette, it's very clear that it's a autobiography. So, you know, Mona Lisa immortalized, like your masterpiece immortalized, décapité. Of course, Marie Antoinette was decapitated. I don't know. And just when you think you're done, they just do more with this crazy outro. With these it sounds like a Middle Eastern stringed guitar. I don't know, an oud. I don't know, bang bang bang, bong bong bang. And then they just think quite often where they'll have like the guitar work on this album is very restrained. When it tends to do anything, it tends to be these sort of grinding notes. There's these weird vocalizing sounds which I only heard on my 30th time listening, and then over and over again. The things that keep coming up with the guitar is this term. It's a weird term, curled canned shrimp. Like these little notes that are just like the little solos that happen here are just in a very tightly packed, like so many curled canned shrimp, like tightly packed. You know, like they're not like there's nothing legato, there's nothing spread out. They're just curled canned shrimp. I don't know why. That's what always pops into my head. Ending, great pop, totally stuck in my head, beautiful, amazing music video. If you haven't seen the music video, it's all just great masterpieces of art history that are deep faked to be lip syncing. Even Marat's got some in there. Not all the paintings are from the Louvre, which again kind of annoys me, but hey, it annoys me, probably no one else. So that's the first song. That's how much coffee I thought was in there the first time. Oh, you can also buy my mug in the link. It's a cool mug. It's based on the Kafka poster behind me. Then we get to the next song, Tonight, which was my second favorite song on the album because I happen to hear it. Just very deceptive simplicity. I mean, just 4 notes played, and then those same 4 notes played faster. But then in the background, the drums remind me of When Doves Cry. And then in the background, okay, they recorded these things at the Musée d'Orsay, and that's how far away it was. These these weird orchestra hits that I swear to God is influenced by Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes. I really hear it there. And then we have So there's a guest appearance by Ezra Koenig, who is the lead singer of Vampire Weekend, a band I don't know very well. It just annoyed me that they met at Columbia. I don't know. Maybe I should extend that same grace to American privilege that I do to French privilege. I should. Maybe it just annoyed me that he went to Columbia. Now he's signed to Columbia. Maybe it annoyed me because he married Rashida Jones. There was a time in my life where I thought, I had a shot. I mean, I never met her or anything, but I was just watching TV. I thought, I had a shot. It's okay. I'm not jealous. I'm much happier now. But, there's a point where the guitar, I swear, is playing almost a sample of their biggest hit, A-Punk, which I only know because it was on not Dance Dance Revolution. What's that game that you play where you move your hands around a lot in the video games? Just Dance? Just Dance. It was on Just Dance, so I really like that song. His presence is interesting. I think it's there in a way to sort of help this album have more of a cohesive, hey, this is rock of the 21st century sound to it. When he sings, it's not super necessary. He sings a lot of the same things. But the thing is, the song is so beautiful that maybe it really was necessary because there's, an ineffable quality to this song. There's this gorgeous rising synthesizer in the post-chorus, which is one of the main trademarks of this album. I compare it to the song Summertime Sadness by Kool and the Gang, sampled by Summertime by Will Smith. Where you have a synthesizer that goes up octaves. That kind of feeling where it gives you an expansive, resolving feeling. And they use that motif many times throughout this album. And every time it works. Some great, this bridge just saying, just roll with me over and over again. It comes right after that rising sound. I really like the lyrics too. I talk to myself and it's quite surprising. In the middle of the night. Another good sign of this album is that I have it stuck in my head. Each song, when I talk about it, I have the song stuck in my head. Sometimes when songs aren't that catchy, I can't remember them when I'm talking about them. I'm still thinking of the last song. But here I'm able to hit next on the CD player quite easily. But I really love this roll with me idea. I really feel like it's connected to that previous song, just being together. I don't know what his songs are about. I don't know, but talking to yourself, maybe it's because he's left alone and he's in COVID and he's talking to himself, or maybe he's just getting older and he's surprised that he's talking to himself. Interesting lyric debate here. He says at some point, "Who let the boys spill their entree?" You can't do that, Thomas. You can't do that. Because you use enough... In French, entree is what we call an appetizer. Okay? Plat principal is the entree in French. So when you say entree, do you mean it in the French sense of the appetizer or the first course? Or do you mean the American sense? I can't take it. It's driving me mad. 0 out of 10. Speaking of 0 out of 10, the next song is The Only One. I don't like this song. I just don't like it. And it annoys me because when I keep thinking about, can I anoint this with a masterpiece, which I don't call every album that's great a masterpiece. I'm very close. But this album, there's interesting things about this. It's kind of a jittery song, kind of a staggered beat. There's this 808 drum machine woodblock sound that is weird. On the chorus, it's on the 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then in the instrumental post-chorus, it's not on any schedule. And then during the second verse, it gets kind of doubled and sketchy. It's very bizarre. This whole song is very bizarre. It feels like maybe they're trying to be more experimental within their style. So they didn't change style. They're just making these very subtle, just the rhythms of it. Resurrect the Soul, I Want to Stay Forever Young. I don't know. My main issue is the pedestrian nature of the chorus. We have this great, synthesizer, but just, can I be the only one? Can I be the only one? Okay. Maybe it's a COVID feeling again, where you feel isolated. But it's just not that interesting. I mean, the second verse is interesting. Emoticons, sending faces and polygons. Here's another wish instead. Lit a candle with a cigarette. That's a nice Shut up, Apple. A nice evocative style. Where like maybe you're stuck and you're isolated, so you have to send things by emoticon, which is a way that we try to communicate. Faces with polygons, that's kind of cool. And lighting a candle with a cigarette is an interesting image because, emoticons and polygons are very modern and jarring, and candles and cigarettes are very tactile experiences. So, I don't know. And the bridge is kind of interesting, talking about reckless tears. Like, that's the more obscure stuff that I like. But in general, I don't know. It's tough. I just don't like the song. And that might change. Next up is what I call the time and atmosphere duo, After Midnight and Winter Solstice, which really feel very connected. After Midnight it starts off with a super pronunciated arpeggiator, like the sequence thing, just for like a half second. I would have loved a little bit more of it. And this whole song actually reminds me a lot of the song Less Than Zero by The Weeknd. Can I propose that a Phoenix and Weeknd tour would be the absolute jam? Like, that would be so cool to have these two artists who work around a lot of these themes, like musical themes of the 80s, the instrumentation of the 80s, to different effects. I think it'd be an amazing conglomerate, like just, whew, that'd be really good. I think that'd be really exciting. I love the way the song shuffles along, and then at the end of the phrase, it kind of falls apart. There's this whole song. It feels like very deliberate and producing forward, and then it's like the way the verse like falls into the chorus. A very long, interesting chorus. Like, I thought it was actually like two choruses. I thought it was a chorus and a post-chorus, but it's actually just one. Sorry, that's Toby. Hey, Toby, come. Toby, come. There's nothing to be done about this. We're just going to have to wait for him to stop barking. Bo, not you. Not you, Bo. Toby can bark. He's a crazy boy. You're the calm boy. Okay. Once again, we have the summertime sadness motif again. Then the hook, what it's like when we're in broad daylight, soon you realize it's after midnight. It really seems to be about the nature of darkness and light and being cognizant of the daylight. More of the sort of Carpe Diem, seize the day style feel. The bridge has this great these raising arpeggios with Toma just saying, listen and listen, listen, listen and listen. And this is what I'm talking about with the stuff that you just don't know, because there's a chance that this beautiful resetting, squirrely, rising arpeggio to this bridge is going to be the thing that I love so much. Like, there's this point in Love Life where there's just this little instrumental trick that they do that, like, is one of my favorite moments in music history. That's how much I love that little moment of Love Life. And I don't know, there's a chance that this odd rhythm, listen, there's a chance that will take its place in my brain as one of the great moments of music history. But I can't tell yet. The video also really helps this out a lot. If you don't like this song a ton, watch the video, because the video is all just taken from like a car driving around, and it has this sort of speed and helps you to understand the sort of the ethos behind the song. Next song is called Winter Solstice. A very sort of underwater feeling. It comes out with this kind of flange. It feels like it's very much in conversation with After Midnight. They have what I sort of call like a 2-1-2 style. Dun, dun, dun. 2-1-2. Like that kind of modulating between notes, so that relationship between the notes, that's what's on After Midnight in sort of an upbeat way. And then they have the same kind of melody play with Winter Solstice, which is part of the reason why I think they're connected. Total Phoenix lyrics. What would you trade me for while this girl is playing hula hoop under the malicious winter solstice? That's that kind of poetry where you go, is he just using words? Does he mean something? Yes. The song kind of washes over you. The funny thing is, when I listened to the song for the first time, maybe a week ago, I was like, wow, his voice is so close. You know, like especially when there's like this, just the pulse of the bass drum and the drum machine and the voice. Now it's hard to connect, but the world's unchained. Very obviously a COVID reference. It's hard to connect, the world's unchained, okay? But like, I heard the lyrics and the way he was singing, and I'm like, there's something going on with this, with the way he's singing this. And then I happened to read the following quote about when he recorded this. He recorded it in Napa Valley during the wildfire season. Why would he be in Napa Valley? Probably because he was staying at the in-laws. Okay, that's where the Coppolas live, in their vineyard, which you can go and visit. It's quite nice. It's not my favorite of the Napa Valley vineyards, but it's quite nice. And you get to support an artist who figured out, like, way before other people did, that the best way to make money off of art is leverage your name and art into a more profitable area. Fashion, food, drink. So he was there during wildfire season, and the sky was orange for a couple of days. And he says, quote, "It was a whole day that never showed up." He recorded his vocal in one take, singing from a fetal position, so there's no feedback from the microphone he was using, in what he calls, quote, "the most vulnerable, no one interact with me state of mind." For us, it meant that we can make a song like this being away from each other when I'm looking at the world collapsing and we're all excited about it. That's a nice feeling. So the fact that he recorded this on the ground, by the way, John Lennon recorded the vocals for Revolution lying down on the ground as well. Another little connection there. The fact that he recorded it like a cold canned shrimp on the floor in a fetal position, like that actually came through. I heard that without him telling me that. And that's a pretty good testament to the power of this music. And the idea that he recorded it in Napa Valley while the rest of the band was in Paris, that really shows the fact that there's this tension between connection and separation, which, by the way, is the main thing that the human species has been dealing with for the past couple of years. That and rising fascism. Go vote if you haven't voted yet today, if you live in America. So that makes it kind of an interesting song because it's sort of hopeful, but it's also sort of funerary. It's almost a dirge. But then we get into season 2, which I don't know. This song just makes me so happy. Giddy up on board and torn. Seriously, every time I read the lyrics, I can sing the song. This is amazing. This is very much leaning towards definitely a masterpiece, with the exception of that damn third song. The only one. Blech. But this song starts off with this gentle sort of percussion, and then the bass line anchors everything. The bass line. Ah, what a bass line. It's restrained, it's powerful, it's driving, it's melodic. You wouldn't think because there's so much happening in this song, but once, this is again what great artists can do, once you sort of figure it out, like, I got to listen to the bass line for season 2, and then I have it. And then you listen to the bass line and you realize, the same thing happens, by the way, all the time when you listen to the Beatles. Like, there are certain songs where you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be listening to Paul on this song. John might be singing, and Ringo's doing his thing, and George might have a solo, but if I listen to Paul, this whole song comes through. That's how this is. Just a heartbreakingly gorgeous chorus. And this is another thing that they're able to do. Write these choruses which aren't catchy, but get stuck in your brain. Chickenpox choruses, okay? Like, they create this sense of transcendence where they're so long. And this one just sort of starts here. What's new in season 2? Niagara Falls. Like, it just keeps raising and takes this weird shift. But hold the thought before you ask what's new in season 2 in Niagara Falls. Oh, watch me dive in. Can I reach the shore? I went to Niagara Falls with my family over the summer. I went there before. Most recent time was kind of a weird trip that I did poorly. But this time, in general, if you ever can, go to Niagara Falls. Do not settle for the American side. Don't. You must go to the Canadian side. I don't care how long the lines of customs is. It is one of the most beautiful things the human eye can behold. But this idea of like season 2 in Niagara Falls, watch me dive in, can I reach the shore? When you see the Niagara Falls, you can't go over the night. It's crazy. The idea of diving in and reaching the shore. So it's like a TV show. It feels optimistic and negative at the same time. Like it's talking about being bored. I think maybe some of the themes of this album, again, are about like family and marriage and sustained marriage. So I think this is sort of a happy song about the difficulties of keeping a marriage happy and together. And the post-second chorus has another one of these great curled canned shrimp guitar lines. But the thing is, again, the guitar plays these nice little notes. But then at the very, very end, there's these little high notes played on the bass, which just steals everything away. And then we get to the outro, which might as well be a Taylor Swift outro. Last drink, tell me something that you don't think. It's that kind of catchy. And then eventually he starts like this polyvocal thing where he's like singing in rounds, okay? So like these guys over here, Botticelli's singing boys. You really get the sense that, one of them is singing Giddy Up, I'm bored, and then the others are kind of singing and moving around there. Don't look at me, look at them. Next song is Artifact, very connected to the previous song. Again, it feels like it's in this sort of theory of like family life as an adult. No intro at all for this one. Just this ethereal reverbed voice with the guitars underneath it. Just going on, what did you know? And it's very connected. How to find the shore in a waterfall. Oh, the rumor, that sounds true. This just really sounds like it's just totally connected to the previous song. This idea of a relationship as a show, as a waterfall. And then the chorus, I have a pet theory. I think Julian Casablancas from The Strokes was originally going to be on the song. Now, I don't know. Maybe they hate each other. I heard someone in an interview, I knew someone who worked at a magazine and said that all those guys in the Strokes are just the biggest jerks in the world. But this was back in 2001, so maybe they were just young and high. They were definitely young and they were definitely high, but I don't know. So maybe Julian Casablancas isn't friends. I listen to the Strokes, and I find it hard to believe someone who can make music that beautiful can be a bad person, but there's been a lot of evidence that you can make beautiful music and be a bad person. Because, the guitar line and the chorus of this just could be a Strokes song. And so I feel like this would have worked so nicely to have a kind of vampire-y Weekend song like Tonight, and then kind of a Strokes song like this, with the lead singers over there kind of creating this conversation. I do like how there's a post-chorus with some harpsichord sounds. The fact that they're from Versailles and that they're recording in the Louvre, it makes me think of court music from France. I think it's sort of on purpose here. And then later there's kind of a cool curled canned shrimp harpsichord line, an instrumental bit here. Just a beautiful refrain too, where the guitar is matched with the melody. And I can't quite figure out what the song is about. Before you were born, before we were one, before you were loose. Is this like a song to his baby? I don't know. I know I was dancing to the song with my baby. It's just a little thing here. They say that you should read to your child, read to your baby. That's true. If you have a newborn, dance with it. This is my theory, that you can teach babies rhythm. Why not, right? They learn speech from you, right? That's how they learn how to speak. So dance with your baby. Jesus. I feel like I'm on Dr. Phil. You're saying that you should dance with your baby? That's true, doctor. But anyways, this song, what I realized it needed is some disco claps, which I really enjoy disco claps. They would have fit here. But then I realized they used disco claps on season 2. So instead what we have here are snaps, which I only heard the 10th time listening. Next song is called All Eyes on Me, and I'm going to ruin the song for you. Feel free to just leave forever, because I'm going to tell you something about this song that you will never be able not to think of once you hear it. So goodbye. Please leave a comment and like and smash the buckets and all that stuff. Here it comes. David S. Pumpkins. Whoopsh. There's a Saturday Night Live sketch featuring Tom Hanks. They did a remake of it recently. Don't watch it. It's not worth it. But the original is very funny because it's this guy in a pumpkin suit and he's supposed to scare you, but he just sings around to this weird song go, 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 go. Whoosh. There's a little slapping, spanking sound in between the dancing of the three characters. Phoenix uses that precise sound like 10 times in the song. So now when you hear this song, I only hear David S. Pumpkin singing this song. Even though it's such a cool, badass, like, left turn on the album, like, almost sounds like Kraftwerk or Africa Bambaataa in the beginning. Another woo, woo, ha, just a really hard techno sequencer for a total techno party. Even some great French here, mais oui, mais non merci, but no, but yes, but no thank you. All eyes on me, pull slowly and see. Dun, 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 dun. David S. Pumpkins is singing, peel slowly and see. How many copies of this album do I have? A lot. You can see it actually says peel slowly and see here. I will not be peeling slowly and see. I don't really know why they're referencing this. I think it's just sort of, it was stuck in his head. It seems to be sort of like a song about the failure of courtesy. I mean, he refers to courtesy as a cœur de cible, which means like a target area, a targeted area, basically. So it seems like it's maybe just like about like lying to people and telling them the truth and trying to be courteous. It keeps on saying, why would I lie? Why would I lie? But right after saying, didn't I let you win? So if you let someone win, then you're lying to them. True story. I never let my kids win ever. Ever. I beat them at everything whenever I can because eventually they have gotten better than me and they can beat me. So that when my son finally beat me in Mario Kart, he knew it was out of the strength of his ability and not because I was letting him win. So, I don't know. But then a beautiful outro with this low bass and layers of stabbing synthesizers and the voices far away. Just this brutal, beautiful song that ends with the David S. Pumpkins whoosh. We go from the most brutal to the sweetest song, My Elixir. If you've ever had like a cheap keyboard, they often have rhythms programmed in. You know, cheap Casio keyboard, Korg, whatever. And so you just press that button and it'll make these kind of cheap sounding beats, like this song. Also, you can have on some of them a setting where you press one note and it makes a chord out of it, which they also use here. It's the sort of dream you have when you play these keyboards, that you might be able to make some beautiful music out of it, even though so much is automated for you. Which is what Phoenix did. Just so much great layering. It's obviously not as simple as I just described. There's other layers. And the voice isn't sharp, it's intimate. My elixir, you better not drink it. It brings you fear, nothing sacred. If your dad says so, I'm about to know. No, 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 no. Can we go home? This whole theme of going home. The post-chorus has this beautiful little guitar line. Very tight guitar line. Like so many canned shrimp. The second verse has this beautiful single guitar note strummed with like a little rising melody. And there's like a crazy thing about the way this drum beat is sequenced, because I don't think they actually just took an automatic beat off of a keyboard. It sounds like they might have, but they didn't. Is if you actually listen to where the cowbell is here, it's on the end before the 1. So if it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the cowbell is on that end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. Which gives a sort of anticipation to it here. It just really, really resolves a lot. And it feels like it's a lullaby. It feels like it's recovering from COVID, the COVID times. It's being together. And it leads right into Identical, which I've already talked about at length on my other video. I'll link it at the end here. I'm so happy this song is on the album. Do you know how pissed I am? Pissed. What an ugly word. You know how aggravated I get when a song I love is just lost. Oh yeah, that was a B-side. Oh, yeah, that was a soundtrack song. You can actually only get that on the import. Like all that stuff. Forget it. No. You made a beautiful song, Phoenix. And I loved this song so much. It's still my favorite song on the album, purely by the fact that I've heard it the most. There is 0% chance that this will be my favorite song off the album. in a year. But for right now, it's my favorite song on the album because I've heard it the most. This definitely announces, especially that summertime sadness, rising, just this eternal resolution. This whole album is so filled with resolutions. Toby! That's too much. I know, everyone's going out and voting, Toby. I know. They're not going to go vote for the fascists, don't worry. Maybe. But I'm just so happy that... Dogs! All right, well, now you have to go see them because I'm so close to the end of this video. Hey, Toby, what are you seeing? Toby, why is the hair on the back of your... Look, you're ruining my Phoenix video, Toby? Yeah, they're mowing the lawn next door. Is that really worth ruining my video? You know, I'm going to go downstairs. Because he's just going to keep barking because they're mowing the lawn downstairs. So, what I was saying was, I guess I don't really need my notes here. I'm just so thankful that they included this on here because it really does a great job of announcing these themes of resolution, of going away, of identity, of love, of the complexity of love. And it's just such a beautiful song. This morning, I was listening to it while I was trying to get that same baby asleep. And the baby was asleep because, I was trying to get her to sleep. And I was just like making eye contact with her. And I was staring at her and I was listening to the song. And identical. And I was just so moved. It was just so beautiful and so rich that... It reminded me of why I love this band so much. Do you hear the dogs upstairs? I'm done now, so just fudgy the whale. Anyways, I do want to thank my subscribers here. My Patreons. So these are my Patreons. I asked them if any of them wants a shout out on this video. Who was it that said they did? Somebody said they did. It was... Oh, that's upside down. It was... Was it... Shamir, maybe? Where are they? Is this an old... I think this might be... Oh, yes. Ibrahim Saoud. He was the one. He said he'd never heard of Phoenix before, but he liked the album cover. Do you want to get weird shout-outs like that? You can join my Patreon. I got tons of videos over there. Exclusive videos. All sorts of random crap. Just whenever I feel like saying something I don't feel like putting on the channel, I say it there. So, okay, this is my little French corner. You see? Got Daft Punk over there, Gainsbourg, Birkin, Justice, Air, Phoenix. All right, well, until next time, for Toby and Bobo, and the future of American democracy. Here's the camera.